Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Todd. How's it
How's
going?
things in Cat's world right now?
Oh, things are great.
Yeah,
Look to talk with you about today.
yeah.
Can't complain. Life's good. Um, yeah. Uh, where do I begin? Just kidding. No, things are great. Things are great. I hope that you're doing well as well. It's good to see
Yeah,
you again. Long
yeah, doing
time.
good. Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, is it too late to call Happy New Year's? I mean, it's into February now, but it's good to see you.
Happy, very
In that time.
good.
Yeah. So, Kat, you're in two bands. So we're hitting. It's almost like a two birds of one stone here tonight. So tell us about the bands that you're in.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm in two bands, as you've mentioned. The first one I want to talk about is that I'll mention at least is the shirt that I'm wearing today, rocking my merch, so you guys can check that out. Um,
Nice.
we are a duet started in 2016. We more or less came to full fruition in about 2018, but 2016 was more or less the time that we kind of started writing together, started playing music together.
Hmm.
Um, Ari is my, not only is he my bandmate, he's also my partner and fiance. And
Oh,
we met at a music, actually. He and I were in a couple of different ensembles together, and we found ourselves having a lot of musical taste in common and writing styles in common. And also, we were kind of digging each other too. And so, just kind of things kind of got intermingled that way.
yeah.
And we've been writing a particular genre that we like to call romantic dark wave.
Mm,
So, romantic dark wave is sort of a kind of a unique spin on what is originally goth music, and kind of incorporating that with the romantic era of orchestral music, which is something I learned a lot about when I was in school. Not so much the goth music. Goth music's been a big part of my life, all my life, and I've always been a really huge fan of the genre. And what I really like about the romantic era of orchestral music is the intensity, the drama, the subject matter being having to do with love, death, kind of like really, really big topics.
hmm, hmm.
And yeah, and so the songs that we've written together are songs that kind of express like love, loss, pain, yet also hope at the same time. So the idea is sort of about finding love amongst this dark world that we seem to have fallen into. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's been quite dark times last, oh my
Well, it's
gosh,
been an interesting last few years, let's say.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then there was the pandemic before all of that as well. And then before that, it's just been bombardment, especially living in a city where it's tough even just to be able to afford things. There's a
Mhm.
lot of heaviness weighing on the world. And I feel that there's a lot of despair that goes with that. And so what we do with Manticore Kiss is we sort of acknowledge these more darker feelings, these darker observations, but with an element of love and hope that yeah, things are tough. And, sometimes maybe really, really tough, maybe
Mhm.
even so tough, so dark that maybe it might encourage one to maybe act in a certain way or behave in a certain way that's either harmful to themselves or others, etc. And so we try to give listeners hope that even though there's a lot of darkness in the world, there is still love. There's still light within all of this darkness. And so our music is sort of a combination of the two of those things, because we have a song on our EP literally titled Death, and it's all about talking about like that kind of idea. But then we also have songs like the ones that I sent you, Intertwined and Forever, where
Mhm.
they talk about how two people have found each other in despite living in a very cruel world, finding love within that darkness, and also kind of celebrating the fact that the darkness is what really brought the two people together. So it's sort of like that's typical, like I'm sure you have heard of it before, finding the light here in the dark. That's sort of an old kind of a concept, but we really are motivated by that kind of idea.
Mhm.
And that's really driven a lot of our music. And in doing that, I feel that a lot of our listeners connect to us on different levels. Some connect to us because maybe they're going through something and listening to our music kind of helps. It's a catharsis in a way. Other people listen to us because um, all some of their songs make them maybe feel a little bit better about themselves, or maybe helps them celebrate other more positive aspects about themselves.
Mm.
And also, um, I think it just helps people learn to just navigate life, but um, don't be afraid to like don't completely close yourself off. Like try to kind of stay open amongst all of it. And I feel our listeners too also just like the aesthetic. Like a lot of our listeners, when it comes to the sound, like is for pure aesthetic. So a lot of different reasons why Manticore Kiss is what it is right now. And it's
Mhm.
been really, really exciting and going into 2024 because after releasing our EP during the pandemic, we have connected a lot with a lot of the people in Vancouver's local goth community. And it's been incredibly enriching for us to make that kind of connection, not just online, but also locally too. So we're writing some new music right now. We're kind of working on some new materials, and it's really exciting because we know that there are people that are genuinely really excited to hear what we have coming up next because they were so excited about the music that we put out beforehand.
Mm, mm, and you were saying, there's a couple bands that, are the common thread for you guys. Which are those bands? Which bands are
Mhm.
when you started Manticore Kiss, like, which were the bands where you're like, "Yeah, I love that band. I love that band. I love that band."
Oh my goodness. I'm a really huge fan of Actors
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
a local post punk band,
yeah.
and actually Corbett, who's a lovely human, and we absolutely adore him. He recorded and produced our EP as well,
Oh,
so he kind of got to know what yeah, so he got to know what the EP was about, and he really believed in our message too, and so he gave us a lot of support when we were getting started, and so I really admire Jason as an artist and as a band leader, and as a businessman too. And seeing him succeed with his projects, with actors the way that he has, gives us a lot of hope that we just have to keep going because
mhm.
these things take time. And their music is awesome as well. Love their music.
Yeah, those
Um,
guys are solid. One of Vancouver's best, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Devours is another artist up there as well that I'm really, really massively inspired by. And I'm just talking kind of more about local people I'm inspired by right now.
Love that.
Um, I think it's important to mention people that are in your own local
Sure.
community that, as well as, bands from the States and Europe and things too. Devours really inspires me because despite them going through a lot of um, ups and downs, rejection, acceptance, et cetera. They have been really honing in on who they are as a person and as an artist, and they're very, very unapologetically themselves. And their music is absolutely it's relatable, but it's also really good. Like you want to dance to it, but there's some of the things that they say in the music, you're just like, oh my God, I feel that. Ah. So
I love that.
definitely is up there
Uh,
too.
and so
Um,
for like, go back, like, into your childhood, and like, what were some of the bands that you were hearing in the house as a kid growing up and stuff? Like, how much can you pin this on your parents?
well, what's funny is that music has been a part of my life since I was a wee child. My dad actually was my late father was a blues drummer and guitar player. So he was in bands and stuff when I was growing up, when I was
Mm.
a little kid. And so, but what he liked to listen to was a lot of like, I listen to everything from um Phantom of the Opera to, you know, that song, the dinosaur song, "Open the door, get on the floor, everybody do the."
The dinosaurs. Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da,
yeah.
da, da. Yeah.
um, a lot of a lot of 80s synth music, like Tears for Fears. I'm super big fan of them. Echo and the Bunnymen. Um, Definitely Tears for Fears, I would say, was a big one for me. I've been listening to them since I was really, really little.
Mm.
Um, but music for me has kind of been an interesting journey because what I started out with is kind of like it appeared and then it disappeared for a while and then it came back. So if you would when if I have a little bit of a story to tell you about kind of how I became kind of the gothic dark artist I am now, but how where it all began was childhood. So I would say the first moment that performing really impacted me and made me want to like start to sing, let alone like write music or anything like that, was this talent show that my dad took me and my sister to. Fun fact, I'm a triplet. So one of my me and one of my triplet sisters
What?
yeah,
Really?
got together. Yeah, I know.
Like you
I
all look
know.
the same? Do
I
you
have
all look
so
the
many
exact
fascinating.
same? Are you like if you saw each
Oh,
other, you were like, holy crap, they all look the same.
let's digress for a sec on that because that's actually really funny, a really interesting fact about me. I am an identical twin in a set of triplets. So I was
Interesting.
Lionsgate Hospital in the 80s. We were on global news when we were born. And so the joke is that my 15 minutes of fame are my first 15 minutes of life. um,
That's
anyways,
great.
so what happens inside of mom when she's pregnant with identical twins is you have one egg that splits in half. So that's why you have two identical, same DNA, right? But then there was a third lurking, another egg lurking in there as well. So you have two full eggs and then one split. So you have three. I'm one of the split eggs.
Hmm.
Yeah. My parents used to joke around saying that, oh, your personality is so big, you had to like separate, you had to like split in half so that the world could handle you. It's like,
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
So
Very,
uh,
very cool. I don't think
that's a little fun little
I've never met
backstory.
a triplet before. This is the first time ever meeting a triplet. What a trip.
Oh,
No pun
well,
intended.
congratulations. Yeah. Um, so my non-identical sister and I joined a talent show because my dad was doing the lighting for this show. So he got us in there. And so we decided to write our own choreography to the song In the Heat of the Night from Aqua. Because I was really into
Okay.
Aqua. Eiffel 65 was my favorite record. Like so obsessed with Eiffel 65 when I was a little kid and Aqua. And I remember there was this moment where after we had stopped doing our choreography, I had my little microphone. I'm 12 years old, my little sequin shirt, and everyone starts clapping for me. And I just remember that oh, feeling. Any musician you talk to, I'm sure can relate. That rush of energy, that like all of a sudden you just feel like the most amazing feeling you've ever felt in your entire life. And I was hooked. I was like, I need more of this. And when I started getting into my teens, now kind of moving back into like my music, kind of like inspiration and history here.
Hmm.
Back when I was about, I'd say about 13, 14, 15, I was getting really into drifting much more away from 80s synth and kind of discovering the world of alternative, like, for example, Marilyn Manson. I discovered Marilyn Manson and Spooky Kids. I discovered um, but I also discovered, you know, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. There was a bunch of other like new metal bands like Kitty that was coming onto the scene as well.
Yes.
So yeah, still a big fan of Kitty. I'm still a big fan.
Love Kitty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played Kitty a lot on CFOX.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I'm still a really big fan of their first album, Brackish, Charlotte. Like, you go back and you listen to these songs, it's just like, wow, like,
So good.
damn, these girls are good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
good. Yeah.
super me, who at the time was getting into, I guess you could say, I was kind of going through the mall goth phase where, everybody wore like baggy t-shirts and black eyeliner lipstick and listening to like Manson and Kitty and Korn and things like that. So
Yeah.
I actually, in high school, when I was about 15, I joined this cute little metal band, and we were called Echoes Unheard. And at the time, I was just starting to learn guitar. My dad had given me, at the time, my very first guitar, and it was an acoustic guitar. This is actually a pretty funny story. So I get this acoustic guitar, and my friends are wanting me to try out for their metal band. And keep in mind, we're all 15, we're all children, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm
Right.
learning to play guitar for the first time. I told them, I was like, okay, bring it. So I brought the acoustic and I brought my little practice amp that my dad had fixed for me because he was an electrician, right? And so, um, as well as a musician, hence why he was doing sound and things like that. Anyways, so I distorted sounding on its own because it was all fuzzy sounding. And I used that with my acoustic guitar turned to drop D and just played like metal on an acoustic guitar. I didn't get my first electric guitar until after our first show at, I think it was the Mission Fire, like the Fire Hall in Mission or something like that. All ages show, and I'm there with my giant acoustic guitar playing drop D with this really terrible amp. It was an incredible experience, but a very humbling experience because it was like, oh my gosh, look at me. Everyone else has real amps and electric guitars. What am I doing?
Well,
So
you got to start
why not?
somewhere.
Hey, exactly. You know what? Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I got started. And then, I got an electric guitar for really cheap, and it was like an Epiphone Les Paul or something like that. And then I got my first pedal, Metal Zone pedal, the quintessential distortion pedal that everybody starts out with.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
So,
Metals.
so, so Manticore Kiss then. So that we've covered that. And that was, you said, what
Yeah,
it was 2016, right? For that 2016. So
for
it's
band. Yeah.
yeah. So you're like 8 years into that now. So for the next band, it's an it's a newer band. And is it? How do you pronounce the name of the band?
Momy Fortuna.
So is Mommy? I wasn't sure if it was Momy or Mommy. So Mommy Fortuna. And so why the second band? Like, what was it? Just something that like you needed to get out a different feel of music? Like, why the second band when you're already in a band?
You nailed it right there. Mommy Fortuna really, really channels my like more inner witchy, wicked self. It definitely channels a lot more feisty, dark energy that I have. And the band actually got started by Brandy. She's known as Brandy Bones in the rockabilly scene. She's the bass player for Big John Bates.
Hmm, okay.
Hmm. Yeah. And so she started this as a side project before I had even joined the band. And she had heard about me because right before, like right around when Manticore Kiss was being really firmly established, I was kind of tapering off from my like solo gothic kind of music. And that's where they met me and they wanted me to come on and play keyboard for them. But it is the brainchild of Brandy. And when I met these women, it's currently a trio, me, Brandy, and Emily Bach on violin. And it's a neoclassical darkwave band with occult, horror, and satanic references. And I'm a huge fan of horror, and I really love like just that kind of level of intensity. And there was just something about joining a band of women who have all been in the scene for many, many years, and kind of doing our own thing. I thought that was extremely appealing, considering we had all been kind of doing our own thing for many, many years. Brandy and Emily also was in Big John Bates. She was also featured in Rebel Spell. She has her own solo project called Pithy Party. And so it just kind of came together by almost like divine intervention. It was just sort of, I met her when she was playing her debut Momy Fortuna show, and I introduced myself. And I said, I would love to, if you ever have an opening, I would absolutely love to be a part of this sometime. And so she came up to check me out.
Hmm.
Immediately, we clicked, and we've been playing together ever since. We've actually been able to open for really cool bands like Batushka from Poland and Swallow the Sun, who I believe you interviewed on your podcast not too long ago.
Yep, I have. Yep, I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
So what are some more memorable shows for you? And not necessarily where you're like, holy crap, there's like so many people. This is such a great show. More like, I don't know, the power went out, the band continued a cappella, or you forgot lyrics, or you had somebody from the audience come up and they absolutely crushed the show. They sang, a song with you or something. Like, what are some of those more memorable moments on stage for you?
well, a couple of years ago, Mommy Fortuna played Verboten. Do you know? Have you heard of Verboten?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, I figured you would. Dark Wave Festival, super awesome. Isku Caterwell puts it on. Amazing, amazing team. I was playing my keyboard and I decided for some stupid reason to wear the tallest shoes you could possibly imagine. Way too tall. And I didn't take that into account that hey, my keyboard stand can only be so wide at so much of a height before it starts to get narrower and narrower and narrower.
Right.
And because my
Oh
shoes were
no, I know where this is going.
yeah, right? My shoes are so part of my French, but so fucking tall. And my
Yeah.
keyboard was like they had this much like on the stand, so it's wobbling, fully falls off the keyboard stand in the middle of one of our best, most exciting songs. Boom! Whole thing falls down, and then the audience runs up, and they all just start frantically grabbing the thing and putting everything back. And it only took about like 30 seconds for it to go back to normal, but for me, it felt like an eternity.
Yeah. But those
I'm
are
just
the
standing there.
memorable shows though, right? Like those are the shows where you're gonna remember 5, 10 years from now, right? They're not gonna be
Oh,
oh, I played the song perfectly. Like, not that those shows are wrong. And there's certainly nothing wrong with a fucking killer great set, but it's those nights that are a little off that those are the stories you tell later down the road.
absolutely. It was so hilarious, so nerve-wracking in the moment. And there was a time where I think Brandy's like she had a portable she had a wireless connection for her bass,
Yeah.
and you can't see me, but I'm at my hip because that's where the wireless thing would normally sit, but you can't see it. So why am I? Anyways, so and it died in the middle of our song. So she had to like stop the song and like jump off the stage, run and go grab a patch cable, go back up, reattach, and we're all up there trying to just like save the space by just creating an ambience.
Yeah.
But I don't think the sound guy realized it because he fully cut off all of us. When he saw Brandy jump off the stage, he cut off all of our sound. So
Weird.
now the audience is just like,
What
what's
what is
happening?
what is happening here? Like, why did the music stop? You were like, no, no, we were actually trying to get ambient, music
Yeah,
going
I'm
on
like,
here.
yeah, exactly. So we were just like pulling our hair, like, oh my God. But the show went great and everything was fine after that. We had a good laugh afterwards. But in the moment, it felt like an eternity was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
by.
yeah.
So,
And what was that first show that you went to as a kid? Like, what was your first concert?
well, my first concert was Weird Al when I was 12. I
Interesting.
yeah,
Weird
I'm an
Al, and
interesting.
I heard that like
I'm
Weird
a
Al's really
diehard,
good. He's a really good like live show, right?
a diehard Weird Al Yankovic fan. Ask anybody. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a diehard Weird Al fan. I love him as an artist, as a musician, as a person. He's just so amazing. And yeah, first concert. And then my next concert after that was this all ages show in Mission. I got picked up from some friends, and there was a band called Mass Undergo that was playing. David
Oh,
Isbister was the frontman of that band. Um, and perhaps I remember I was in the mosh pit for the first time, and I was told like what the rules were about being in a mosh pit. And but I kept my elbows out like this the whole time. So I'm stabbing everybody with my pointy elbows because I'm a child. I'm 15. I'm all skin and bones. And then I go up to this, and I'm moshing around, and I see this guy, this big dude, and he's standing there in the pit, and he's looking at me like inviting me to like come and mosh. And I'm like, okay. So I run up to him, and he's got this like bit of a some padding here, shall we say?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just bounce off. I bounce off of him, and I go flying in the air, and I land right on my knee, and I crack my
Oh
knee
no!
open. First mosh pit.
But it's a
Yeah.
great, but
It
it's a
was
great
fine. I was
memory.
15. I made a rubber still at that time. So
Yeah, totally right. Do you see
yeah,
many shows like present
I'll
day? Do you
never
still go to a ton of shows or?
absolutely. I love going to shows. I go to as many shows as I possibly can. Um, I live for it. I live for live music. I love it so much. I just what's really a really surreal moment actually I had when I was playing a show where there were these, and it actually made me think about myself in their place, like when I was their age, watching people like walk up on the stage, and I had a really surreal moment where these girls were just maybe 19 years old, maybe 18. It was an all ages venue again, and these girls were such big fans of Manticore Kiss that they had met us before, and they had made their own patches with our band names on it. They knew like they had us to sign their patches for them. They came to the show and they sang every single line of every single song. And it was just these four girls in the background. Everybody else is obviously having a good time, but those four girls, I will never forget them. That made like everything worth it to me. Like just seeing how happy they were, and they were singing along, and they were just so excited. It was so surreal. Like I
Yeah,
always
that
tell
sounds
myself and tell other
awesome.
people that like moments like what makes your career worth it, because sure you can fill a stadium and all that, sure you can play a sold out show, which we've done, and but there's something about when you have these little pockets of people that are just so excited about what you do and know every little thing. It just it hits you differently.
Totally right. Like uber fan of your war music. It's nuts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just really trippy because I mean I've gone my whole life trying to figure out what kind of music I wanted to do. Like when I was in school, I was trying all these different styles, and I came back to goth probably in about 2015, and ever since then, I, finding my people, I've been extremely happy with what I do with my music and my career.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
so what's the rest of like 2024 looking like for the bands? Like when are each next shows? Like how far are you booked with the bands?
Well, right now, Manticore Kiss is in the writing stage right now. We're writing some new stuff. So right now we're kind of putting a very small hold on playing any shows at the moment. But we're definitely looking into trying to get back into Verboten in the summertime again because we played last year and it was a ton of fun.
Mhm.
And we've got some friends that we've been chatting with as well that we are looking to put together some shows in the spring and the summer. So
Mhm.
we're kind of incubating on things at the moment. With Momy Fortuna, actually, if you don't mind, I would like to make a small announcement. Momy Fortuna is currently looking for a new drummer.
Oh,
Our previous drummer has moved on, and we wish them nothing but the best, and it's all good. Everything is wonderful. And but now we're open to experimenting with some new percussive ideas. So if you are a drummer listening to Todd's podcast, or if you possibly know drummers, feel free to send us an email to mommyfortuna@gmail.com with the subject line drummer for Satan. And include your name, bios, and music examples that you've done. If you'd like to try out, we are definitely open to. We're quite open-minded with where we want to go. Previously, we had quite a heavier, more metal kind of black metal kind of a sound, which we're totally open to, keeping. But Mommy Fortuna is an ever evolving project. one of our big goals is we really want to get onto a horror movie. We want to be kind of like have our music featured in a horror film.
Mm,
So we're not limited to just kind of one genre. So if you can drum and if you're really passionate about horror, the occult, bands like Goblin and Dead Can Dance, give us a shout. We're on social media, all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can leave a comment. But if you're looking specifically to try out for drumming, email us at mommyfortuna@gmail.com.
okay. And where are you most active with both bands? Like, where should I be sending people? Is it Instagram? Where's the or YouTube? Like, where do you guys go to most?
Definitely. So if you want to check out content, Facebook and Instagram for sure. Bandcamp, if you want to listen to our music, go to Bandcamp, check us out. Manticore Kiss, Momy Fortuna. We're both on Bandcamp. We're both on YouTube as well. So if you want to check out some of our music videos, Manticore Kiss and Momy Fortuna both have really cool music videos for some of our songs.
Nice.
We're also, of course, find us on, the typical iTunes, Amazon Music, Apple Music. We're on there as well, but primarily Facebook or Instagram, and YouTube and Bandcamp.
All right. Kat, thank you for taking some time here and talking about your bands with us tonight.
Oh,
Gonna,
thank you for
yeah,
I
it's been interesting. It's been interesting finding out about the genre and because it's super unique to Vancouver sound, of course.
It's very niche. It is a very niche, small kind of a place, but you know what? Within that niche and that unique sound, it's a beautiful subculture, and I absolutely adore everyone that's a part of it. We all do our part to enrich each other and to preserve the subculture, because goth is a very it's a smaller scene, but it's a beautiful scene that really deserves more recognition from people that maybe had never heard of it before. We're out there, and we would love for you to check us out.
All right. Well, hopefully this podcast will do help in some way. So we'll tag both bands when we're throwing this stuff around online, and I guess we'll see you online.